Hey y'all, Bloodwing here. Welcome. Here to bring some grumpiness to your internet. Welcome to Redneck Radio, the show that promises to bring some grumpiness to your life and, at the very least, tickle your funny bone. And with me, as usual, is Irate Bear.
Hello, I hope everyone is doing well on this Saturday. Hope you're having a nice weekend, and I also hope that you're well today, Bloodwing.
I'm doing real good, and it's a pretty day here. Before I get going, though, I did want to comment to Maniac Man 2030. If you're still out in the chat, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. I feel your pain. I've had to go through that myself, and I'm a huge dog lover, so I understand your pain.
I'm just reading that.
Yeah, it sounds like it was probably best. I know this doesn't help. Probably best for the animal, but that doesn't mean you're not going to miss him. So hopefully, maybe you'll hear something today on the stream that'll make you feel better.
Aye. Thoughts with you, mate. Losing a pet isn't easy, I know.
Yeah, no, I've had to do it myself. In fact, a dog that I had, we got when I was 12 years old. So I grew up the latter part of my life with the dog. And he lived to be 14 years old. And in the last year of his life, he lived with me and my wife. I was married by then. He had arthritis so bad. He was completely blind. You know, he'd get out sniffing and follow his nose and get lost. And he had allergies that, you know, his fur would fall out with allergies and stuff. And it was time. It was time. I just didn't have the heart. So my mom had to sneak over and have him put down. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Aye. But hopefully we'll be able to cheer you up today because it is Saturday. And of course, it is Redneck Radio. And of course, guys, we always appreciate it when you drop likes. We are the kings of the like ratio here on the Bloodwing channel.
Absolutely.
That's a great way to support the channel. And it would be even better if you shared it out to your social media. We'd really appreciate that. And of course, if you'd like to help Bloodwing pay some bills, you can do so by throwing some shekels his way via the Streamlabs link and the Patreon links in the description. So, Bloodwing, how has your day been?
It's been good. First of all, Nuts, hi, how you doing? She said hi, so I wanted to be sure to say hi.
Well, how do?
I woke up really early, about 6:30 this morning. Right after my wife got home from work, and
bright and breezy, sir.
Yeah, I've just slept so much the last couple days, and then by 9:30 I was ready to lay back down again. So I did. So I've done a lot of sleeping, but it is a beautiful day out. It is. The sun is so bright you can't hardly stand to look out the window.
It's actually been quite bright here.
But it's one of those days that'll fool you. It looks so warm and cheery and everything outside, right? And then you step outside and it's only 20 degrees, which is 12 degrees below zero. I mean, below freezing, rather.
Well, it means the same thing to us, pretty much. But yeah. Actually, it was we had a very, very summery looking kind of day. In my area of the UK anyway, yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't warm. It wasn't as bad as that, though.
Yeah.
I think maybe it may have been about 9-10 degrees Celsius. So, I mean, I enjoyed the sun for about 10 minutes and then went back inside. It's not warm enough for me to be out there. But
Brian Donovan, bite me, as always. You keep that warm and sunny stuff to yourself. That happiness crap. Sean DW175, best hours of the week listening to Bloodwing and Irate Bear. Thank you very much, man. I seriously, I appreciate it. It's no joke.
You're damn right, Sean. Sean's a good boy. Sean's a good boy. He's an avid supporter of mine, and I appreciate that.
Ooh, Jen says it's 2 degrees Fahrenheit where she is frigid.
She's Canadian.
Yeah. See, the thing is, though, Jen, we get that here too. And like tomorrow, it might be that. It is just back and forth all over the place. Just when you start to get used to the frigid temperatures, it goes warm again.
I'm starting to think that you might actually be a little bit British, Bloodwing.
Why is that?
We're, 6 minutes into the stream? Yeah. Into Redneck Radio, and all we've done is talk about the weather.
Well, that's part of living in the American Midwest. As I've told you in private before, you don't like the weather in the Midwest, stick around, it'll change. And it's a pastime to complain about it. But we got you one better, because we get one thing that you don't get.
Extreme weather and tornado. Yeah, extreme weather. Yeah.
So yeah,
you get that horrible cold. I mean, we get cold here.
Yep.
But you don't see that level of cold here. Like, very rare. It's like a thing that happens every few years. We might get your like level of freezingness.
We can count on it, and although we're nearing the end of February now, we're getting there. We're past the halfway point.
Yep.
We can count on at least one more freeze before boys basketball finals. That's high school basketball, which is over at the end of February. So we can expect at least one more freeze before then, and then it'll gradually in March start to get better.
Yeah, tornadoes as well.
Oh, absolutely, tornadoes. I've been in more than, I have no idea how many I've actually been in and seen with my own eyes. A bunch.
Out there firing shots at tornadoes.
Well, we were in our in my parents' car one time, me and J-Kid, when he was little, when a tornado hit, and they pulled over to the side of the road because you really don't want to drive into a tornado. And we didn't have time to get in the ditch, which is what they tell you to do, to leave the vehicle and go get in the ditch. I mean, it was just there. And sometimes they hit like that. They just come out of nowhere. And so we ducked down below the seats, and it actually picked the car up and turned it around.
That's more of a hindrance, if anything. Just like, oh.
Yeah, we were facing the wrong way.
You dick. Now I've got to do a 3-point turn.
So that's just one time. But when I was little, one time we raced one to church. We could see it out the window. We were racing it down the highway.
Those things go really fast as well, don't they?
Yeah, we weren't making much headway on it.
You know, on the plus side, at least you guys, you guys have horrible weather. You get hurricanes, you get tornadoes. They're all awful things. But Australia just has to take it to that one step further, don't they?
Well, of course.
They have friggin' fire tornadoes and shit.
Is there anything in Australia that won't kill you?
I'm not sure.
I mean, the country looks beautiful, but I don't want to go visit because everything there is just deadly.
I get the feeling that their cows are venomous. You know?
Probably. And I'm in no shape to run from anything, so I'm not sure I want to put myself in that kind of scenario.
I was really surprised to hear about America's weather, man, because like you guys get like Siberian weather.
In the Midwest, we do. The upper Midwest. South of us, they'll get snow, like Kentucky's directly south of my state. They will get snow and they'll get cold weather, but not to the degree that we do. You know, one state makes a big difference. Monkey lives one state, the next state to my north, and he gets even more severe weather. So,
well, Monkey State's on the border, isn't it?
Yeah, on the Canadian border.
Yeah. He's got to watch out for the inevitable armored moose invasion.
So just to put it in perspective for you, there's only one state between me and the Canadian border. So Vegemite, maybe. I don't know. I've never ate it and don't know that I want to. Hey, sweetie, my daughter, Mama Minnie's in the chat. Are you working, dearie?
Apparently, you guys get fire tornadoes too.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it gets hot enough in those brush fires and forest fires that they have in California and stuff. It's pretty common to see them.
Well, nobody cares about Cali getting damaged by fire tornadoes. I mean, let's be honest.
I keep waiting for it to fall off in the Pacific, but it just won't do it. Stubborn thing.
You need some seismic hammers, mate.
I'm telling you.
It'll do the job.
I am telling you.
About 30 of them along the border.
Mom, Minnie, daughter says, yeah, she's working. Sweetie, I'm sorry. Have a good time.
Hi, Mum of Many. I hope you're well.
Yes, Deck Train. I have been in many whiteouts. I survived the winter of 78. And if you've never heard of the winter of 78, look it up. The entire nation was on lockdown.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the blizzard of 78. We literally got 36 inches of snow overnight.
Good grief.
Yep.
So you opened your door and you couldn't see because there was a wall of snow there.
Yep. 8-foot drifts.
Wow.
My car was under an 8-foot drift for weeks.
Oh, Bear, move to America. You'll love it here.
The state actually shut down for 3 days. They come on the radio. The governor said, if it's illegal to get out, we will arrest you. Because so many people were getting out and getting stuck. And man, when they finally did plow through the roads, they plowed up cars and everything. They didn't care. They warned everybody, so they just plowed it all up.
I bet that would have been awesome for the guy in the snow plow.
You just know he was grinning from ear to ear all the way down the road. Yeah.
So yeah, I ain't got to move. I ain't got to watch out for cars. But oh, you Bear, yeah, Bear. We have the First Amendment, the Second Amendment here. Okay, that sounds awesome. But we also have fire, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Well, shit.
Yeah.
Come to Texas. People say all the fucking liberals are moving there.
Yeah. Texas is definitely but my state, Indiana, still holds the record for the most tornado deaths in one outbreak. It was in the 20s. And it was on Easter Sunday weekend. So yeah, we're also in what they call Tornado Alley. Actually travels through a great big swipe right up through the nation's middle from Texas, and it just kind of swoops up from Texas.
Prospero's like, you get tornadoes. Yeah, we get the odd tornado from time to time, and when it goes through, it doesn't do that much damage usually.
Yeah,
you know, someone's car might get a scratch on it because of little piddly things.
We can count on at least half a dozen pretty good sized ones every spring. So
price you pay for freedom. Well, I'm going to Arkansas. There's no friggin' tornadoes there. Just nice warm weather and cheap land.
What's this? Amani Jive, can you cover the siege of Ram Ranch? It is being illegally taken over by 28 U.S. Marines who are looking for Prince Harry for standing with Vic Mignogna.
Oh, wait, I have to listen to what you just said again. Hold on a second.
Okay.
On to Prospero. But more per square mile than elsewhere on Earth. Yeah, that's because England is tiny. We have one, and that's like more per square mile than anywhere else because our country's tiny.
Yeah, I'm not sure the UK is a whole lot bigger than my state. And I don't live in one of the bigger states. It's a medium-sized one.
Fairly sure you can fit the UK inside Texas about 100 times and still have room. Sorry, mate. Read what you said again.
Can you cover the siege of Ram Ranch? It is being illegally taken over by 28 U.S. Marines who are looking for Prince Harry for standing with Vic Mignogna. Mignogna? Mignonga.
The voice of Broly. They're trying to Me Too his ass at the moment.
I got you.
Prospero, surely we have more sheep per square mile than anywhere else.
Maybe.
So is that an article you've got, is it? Blobbing?
Do what?
Is that an article you have then?
No, somebody in the chat, Amani Jive, posted that in the chat.
It's Mignogna.
Yeah.
According to Vortex. And sheep shaggers, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
There's New Zealand. Yeah, you're right. New Zealand is a place.
I was going to say, I think New Zealand got you there.
Yeah, more than likely. They've probably got more sheep than people.
Yeah, well, the sheep talk English there. You know, they say, Daddy. Oh, New Zealand. I can't say too much bad about it. My what would you call her? My stepmother-in-law is from New Zealand. Love her accent.
I'm not a fan of the New Zealand accent. I don't
Don't
dislike
ever
it.
call her Australian, though. I made that mistake once years ago, and oh my God.
Is it like calling a Scottish man English?
Oh. Yeah, you'd have think I'd have called her everything but a white woman. So, okay.
Scotland, the more people, I think. Really? Okay.
I know people have probably noticed the title by now. Let's blame the Trumpers. Peeps will believe it.
God, Trump voters, what have they done now?
Well, let me begin by saying again, I did not vote for Trump. I don't own a MAGA hat. I don't know whether he's going to be a good president or not. He's only 2 years into his term. It's too early to tell. But we're all familiar. What is that fellow's name? Jussie Smollett. And of course, a lot has happened in the last few days on that. I won't read an article. I'll just go over you can look all this up for yourself pretty easily. And we know the initial story. He claimed that he was attacked by 2 MAGA hat wearing. This is MAGA country, and that it was racially and anti-homophobic related and all this. And they put a rope around his neck, threw bleach on him. And all while we're in the middle of the polar vortex in Chicago, which is further north even than where I live. So yeah, it was cold, and they're right on Lake Michigan. So they get the lake effect. It makes it even colder. And I knew right from the beginning, it didn't feel right. Didn't sound right. Something's off about this. And most of us did. And since it came out that they arrested 2 black guys from Nigeria, who they suspected helped, were involved in the attack. There's been allegations from the police that perhaps Jussie, staged all this because he was getting ready to get booted off the TV show he's on. Empire, I think it is.
Yeah.
Imagine my shock if he did. Now, it's my understanding that in the hours since that hit, they've released the 2 fellas. And they've pressed no charges, and so forth. But that doesn't mean they're off the hook entirely. There's a thing called double jeopardy. So you have to be sure before you actually charge someone and take them to court that you've got all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they did do it either. Owen, P-Dog called this right from the start. Yeah. But it just made me think all this stuff. This is not the only thing we've seen in recent times where the left thinks it's okay, that everybody's just going to believe it if they blame it on the Trump supporters. We've seen it with the Covington kids. They're going to believe they did that because he's wearing a MAGA hat. And we've seen other instances just like this where people have made false accusations and said, well, Trump supporters, ripped off my hijab. And there was a story on that some time back. And they keep trying to throw stuff. And now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm old and I could have forgot something, but I don't think it's ever stuck.
Nothing they've thrown has stuck.
Yeah. I mean, the closest was you had that one nut job over there in, where was it? They had that protest with all the white nationalists and the one guy run over
Charlottesville.
Somebody. Yeah. And, you had that one guy, a nut job. And none of it stuck, but boy, are they quick to believe it.
It made me laugh because it was a unite the right. It wasn't just alt-righters.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I meant. You had your conservatives, you had your fucking nationalists, you had your friggin' libertarians, No, it's not the same thing.
Right. Well, you know what I meant. I said it that way so that you would know which
No,
post I was
I'm
talking
not
about.
trying. I'm not trying to get you on a
Yeah.
gotcha. I'm just.
Yeah.
It's because I had an argument with a guy today who was like, the right wing's blaming immigrants. I was like, well, who's the
I
right wing
seen that.
exactly? I was like, well, you know, that's a gross oversimplification, mate. Come on.
Yeah.
But we had a good conversation though. So.
And Faceless is, and that guy was actually mentally ill. And you know, it was Theodore Roosevelt that said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that every social organization, every social faction has its lunatic fringe. Everyone. Of course, we get, you know, oh, that's not right. If we say, well, there's problems on both the left and the right, you know, we're not allowed to say that. That's not right. We're only allowed to acknowledge the ones on the right, you know, because they say that's some kind of deflection on our part. No, it's just recognizing that we're human beings and there's problems on every side.
Yeah.
My God, quit making something out of it. It's not.
It's sad, really, Bloodwing, because, you know, I had a debate with a guy today on Twitter. As you said, you saw it, you know, and we went back and forth for a while, but in the end, we kind of like agreed to disagree and realized that we actually had a few things in common with each other. And I praised him for not only arguing with me, but because other people got involved. People obviously saw me arguing with him. They jumped in in the debate. I praised him for sort of taking us all on at the same time. And managing to stay in keep up with everything, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't see why society can't be like that. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna disagree, and we're gonna bring up arguments to each other, and if we can't agree, then maybe we should look for things that we can agree on, you know. And we did in the end. So,
cigar chomping penguin, that guy with the car was actually fleeing an Antifa member with an assault rifle. Antifa boy said as much on tape. And then Evil One says he didn't run her over. She had a heart attack because she was fat, but the news says he was run over. Irregardless, my whole point is there's just been the odd crazy person here and there. They've not been able to get these accusations to stick, but they keep trying to blame the Trumpers for everything that happens.
Yeah, it's very similar over here as well, Bloodwing. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but it's exactly the same over here. You know, the right wing are evil, far right this, far right that. All they've got with the Charlottesville thing is that the woman, you know, getting hit with the car and having a heart attack and dying. You know, oh, a white nationalist killed this woman, even though that wasn't actually the case.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, Prospero disagrees that it was a heart attack. I heard it was a heart attack, but I don't, you know, really, I don't know. And of course, over here, the only thing that they have is the Joe Cox story, where a guy, a maniac, ran at an MP, shot her, shouting "Britain first" at her. And of course, that one guy, I forget his name, someone would tell me in the chat, the guy who drove a van into a crowd of people at a mosque and killed one person. Right. That's all they've got. They've got nothing else.
And it just, I don't know. I was reading this and it just struck me. And as I said before, I'm not a MAGA hat wearing Trumper. I think the guy's hilarious. I don't hate him, and you know, or nothing like that. It's just they're trying so hard to make the right look racist. I mean, they come out and say it. The MAGA hat is the new white hood.
Mm-hmm.
But all they got is that comment. They've got no proof, nothing. Everything they tried to throw at them doesn't stick. It gets disproven.
Yeah. It makes me laugh because I see all the lefty brain trust on Twitter. Oh, white nationalists, white terrorists, Christian terrorists. I'm like, okay, you have like 2 examples, mate. I can give you thousands of examples of Muslims doing it, not just to us, but to other Muslims as well.
Vortex, I can give you, that's a straw man dude. Who are you talking to? Who's the straw man?
He's talking to me.
I don't know. If I gave one, I'd like to explain it.
Thank you, James. Yes, yeah. Darren Osborne. Yeah. Sorry, I always forget the guy's name. Finsbury Park. Yeah, the Finsbury Park attack.
Yeah, and the Bernie Bro shooter at the baseball game. Thank you, Brian Donovan. Yeah.
Oh, darling.
the really violent ones have all turned out to be left. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I can bring up 10 videos right now of Antifa attacking people for no reason.
Yeah, property damage and attacking people and.
What woman?
Oh, he's talking to
Right.
someone else in the chat.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I just caught the comment, dude, and you know, I'm not incapable of being wrong. I'm a human.
It's not a bad thing, James, to not be able to forget these things. People should remember. It's just I have a memory like a frigging colander, man.
Yeah. Well, me too. I don't remember names well. I remember events and all that really well. You asked me about some obscure battle back in the 1600s that I can probably talk to you about it, but I don't remember names very well.
Sean says you would think that as many Muslims blow themselves up, people would either reconsider Islam or they would all be dead by now. Well, they have a lot of converts, which I see every so often on Twitter. Sometimes it's like a guy or a gal that's trying to escape, like Saudi Arabia or something like that, and there's like a fundraiser going on, or there's somebody who did manage to escape on their own accord, and they've managed to make their way to the West, and they now create content speaking out against the brutality of the Islamic theocracy they came from, which is always encouraging to see.
Thank you, Sabian 187 for the subscription. I got a subscription earlier. Whoever that was, thank you. I wasn't quick enough to catch who it was, but thank you very much. Now, having said all that, let me say this is not meant to just bash the left, because there's people, they're human beings. There's people on the left that are okay.
Of course there is.
There's good people on the left.
I argued with one today that was all right, you know?
Yeah.
It started off a little bit vitriolic, but we had a discussion.
It's just that you would think that they would quit trying to make this made up crap stick. If you want to get rid of Trump, quit going for made up crap and go for something substantial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's got skeletons in their closet. I mean, come on, that's why I don't run for office. There's a lot of stuff I don't want people to know about me.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm impeached for the shit that I've done. Holy crap. Especially when I was in the Navy. Holy shit.
God, just the entirety of the decade of the 70s would be enough to incriminate me.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, you came over in the 80s, impregnated my mother, left without giving her a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah. And Faithless makes a point to Prospero. I think they wanted something to happen. That's exactly right. They want it to be true. So they can justify their screeching and screaming. I'm sure no one's forgot that when Trump was elected and how they were all shell-shocked, and the next day you had all the YouTube personalities and all the people on Twitter. Yeah, oh, it's all over, and they're going to make gulags, and they're going to bust down our doors and take away all the gays and the blacks, and they're going to put them in camps. And you had people saying that.
It just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
I know. Well, where are those gulags at, people? So they want to deflect from that, and they want it to be true.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And that is not conducive. My whole point of this was I get distracted. That is not conducive to a united nation, to a united people. It just promotes division.
Exactly.
And I don't get that. I'm a firm supporter of being able to get along with the other side and have adult, mature discussions, but you can't anymore.
No, you can't. And I would say a little bit, just at least a small portion of it has to do something with social media.
Oh, well, yeah. A lot of it has to do that. The times have changed, and social media has changed the times.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy for people to get their opinion out there, And people still, the internet is still young enough that they see that and say, well, it's in print, it's on the internet, it must be true.
Yeah, that's another thing. This is the problem with the media. A lot of the media's stuff is op-eds now. Not a lot of facts in there. A lot of spin. A lot of you know, personal narrative and agenda in the media, which, you know, makes things worse, I think.
Absolutely.
And I think on the internet as well. Not like you can get a snippet of the information and then think that's everything that you need to know, but it's not. You know, and I would argue that both left and right-leaning newspapers are both guilty of doing it.
Yeah,
Daily Mail, for example.
Dean Rowley, is Trump's fault my wife got pregnant. Did he do it, or did he just inspire you to do it?
he was wearing a MAGA hat. It made him really virile.
Yeah, that's
Bloodwing, you know how I've made a couple of videos recently sort of railing on lefty liberal type comedians for just being lazy and just, you know, going for the orange man bad line of comedy, quote unquote comedy. I've been looking through the comments today.
Yep.
And there's a few people in there going, "Oh, you're just a Trump dick rider."
Yeah, I've got that too. I'm like, I didn't even vote for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a dick rider.
I didn't vote for Hillary either. I would have voted for Trump over Hillary any day, but Owen Harmon, I took my daughter to visit an actual gulag in Hungary today. Seriously grim. People got thrown in there for saying dumb stuff in a bar. Yeah, I hear you. I've always wanted to be able to travel to Europe. I'd like to visit places like Auschwitz or something like that. Just see with my own eyes all the stuff that I've learned with history.
Oh, I like it when people call me things like that. Trump dick rider.
Yeah.
So you just have no arguments then. You completely missed the point then of what I was trying to say here. Ball bags, honestly. I think I shared a few screenshots to Twitter. I'll have to grab them quick just to give you an example. Let me go to my
Demon Man 57. You're showing your age. If you recall that "Why Can't We Be Friends" song, definitely applies these days. Everyone is at each other's throats. It was by a group called War. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be? I actually had that on 45, by the way, on a 45 record. Most of you don't even know what that is.
There was one here. R.A. Bear, quick your pathetic whinging. You sound like Paul Joseph Watson. Dry your eyes, little girl. And I said, I'll quit my whinging when hate speech laws are no longer exist in this country. Now I'm off to go dry my eyes. Unhappy face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I feel for you, man. You know, here in America, we have our Constitution and we have freedom of speech, at least so far. And so, yeah, I just can't imagine being afraid of, you know, oh, geez, if I say this or if I tweet this or if I post this on YouTube, I'm going to get in trouble. Just,
I'll read one more to you.
Yeah.
Give over yourself, mate. That's another way of saying get over yourself. Just looks like you're looking for a moan for no reason, mate. The point here is stop being upset or offended by shit. I'm not. And enjoy life. I'm trying. Seems like everyone just wants to be offended for no reason. Sort your life out, humans, because in the end, we're all the same. It's shit like this needs to stop because you're just being a twat. You can think I'm 1-2, don't give a shit, mate. That's what you think, and no one cares. Well, I mean, 91,000 views later with nearly 5,000 likes. I think some people care.
Terrell Deos, I know what a 45 is. My dad had them. Thank you for making me feel old. But yeah, 45s were great. 45s were small records that had one song on one side, one song on the other, and you could buy them very cheaply. As a matter of fact, I think they were like 35 or 40 cents when I was a kid. Yeah. So if you didn't want to buy the whole album, you could buy the 45, which would usually have the big hit off the album and then a side B song on the other side.
Bloodwing, you're an older gentleman, right? So let me ask your opinion, if that's all right.
Okay.
You're an older gentleman. You have considerably more life experience than me. You've been around the corner. You bought the T-shirt.
Yeah.
You eat the burger, you have all the merch. Am I being like ridiculous? Do you think I'm being ridiculous sometimes?
Define sometimes.
Well,
I mean, be a bit more specific.
with my content specifically, like, do you think I'm just like calling out comedians for no reason?
No, personally, I don't. No, I'm not of the. I know there's a huge faction of, especially in our genre of YouTube, that says, "Oh, this is so 2016. You guys are still calling out the blue-haired feminists and all that." And you know, guys, that battle wasn't won. All that we did was run the bedroom feminists off of YouTube. It went higher up. It's now being promoted by mainstream media and by politicians, and that battle is not won. So no, I'm not somebody that, no, absolutely call it out. And if somebody doesn't like your content, then they don't have to watch.
So it's not so much of a content thing. It's just like when people say shit out to me, I sat there thinking to myself, am I just being ridiculous about the whole hate speech thing? Like when I go outside, like there aren't black clouds. I mean, there is because it's England, but you know what I mean?
No, because it can only start there. I'm upset for you guys. And if it happened here, I'd be out in the streets hollering, give me back my free speech, because it only starts there. And if something doesn't get done, it could possibly go down that slippery slope and end up where you have the thought police. You guys are not far from that right now.
Well, I mean, we're not.
Honestly.
Well, we actually do have thought police. You may remember the gentleman from a few weeks ago who had a policeman come round and tell him that his manner of thinking wasn't right.
Yeah. So no, I'm not. I'm not of that school of thought that think that we've already won that battle. Our genre, no, it hasn't been won. We just run the bedroom feminists off YouTube is all, and that's all that we did. And I'm not one to believe that no subject is too small to bring up.
Like, do you think it's silly for me to rail on comedians for being lazy and going down the orange man bad route?
No. I was just thinking earlier today. I was thinking about the original not ready for primetime players on Saturday Night Live. When Saturday Night Live started in 1975, I believe it was, they were hilarious. And when we're talking Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Lorraine Newman, all those guys, the classic lineup. And I was just thinking, it didn't matter if the president was a Democratic president or Republican president. They trolled on him, so it went both ways. Somewhere we've lost that ability, and it seems like people can only, it's only funny if they pick on the Republicans.
Dean Rowley just said something in the chat, and do you think the police would come to my house for thinking about shagging Diane Abbott for a laugh? Well, if you're thinking about shagging Diane Abbott, I think the police are more than justified for coming to arrest you. Just to save you from yourself, if anything. You're a danger to your own penis, sir.
Killer or Kyler, I always forget what that is. Not land shark. Yeah. Candygram. Land shark. Which I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but it was a bit. It was when Jaws was popular. The movie Jaws first come out. It was very popular, and they done a bit where there was a knock on the door and Candygram, Flowergram. Just go through the whole thing, and they wouldn't answer the door. Finally, they said land shark, and they go, "Oh yeah, all right." And they open the door, and this big shark comes through and eats them.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Hilarious stuff. The SNL was great back then, and they've had some great lineups since then. But I don't think anything ever beats the original lineup ever. There's just so much stuff. But yeah, I mean that's my rant for the beginning of the stream. I just got to thinking about that. The left seems to want us all to get along, but only if we think like they do.
Of course,
And I don't understand that.
they're very mad. They're very angry.
Yeah.
Very, very angry. Sometimes I like to invoke my own personal horror movie in my head.
Yeah.
Of a America led by Bernie Sanders and a Britain led by Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh Lord.
Could you imagine it?
No, and I don't want to.
Oh, I try to imagine it because I like, I like horror films, and I
The
like
USS of A.
The USSI.
Oh my gosh. All right. Folks, I don't remember seeing anyone make any bets on when the old man was going to the bathroom today, and I forgot to mention it. And at this point, it's too late because I got to go to the bathroom.
Wow, really? You went before the stream?
I did. Right before. But man, I've been chugging the coffee.
Your prostate must be getting bigger, or your bladder's getting smaller, either one.
Or my I've been borderline diabetes for quite a long while, and it could have went over the border, so to speak, because frequent urination is a symptom of diabetes. But okay, I will be right back. And going this early means I'll probably go again, so you can make best for when I'll go next.
I'll talk to the chat, mate. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you're all well. Welcome to Redneck Radio here on the Bloodwing channel. Can we get a few more likes for the old man, please? The old man likes. He collects them like stamps and other strange collectibles. I think he'd appreciate it if he came back and there was at least 20 more likes. Would you guys reckon? It's all for him. It's not for me. He likes the likes. Likes are free as well. That's weird because when I typed it in Monkey's chat, it was most definitely censored. Mate, sometimes it happens, Jack Gunsky. Sometimes it happens. I've had things that I've tried to say in someone's live stream chat whilst I've been on the stream, and YouTube, this comment has been removed by YouTube's Google moderation team. And then I go to do it again, and it lets me do it. So very strange. I wonder if it's because it was the first comment. I don't know. Cryptic says, eat me. Hi, Cryptic. You're home now, by the way. James, I didn't have a good week, but a good weekend so far. Well, that's what's important, mate. That's what's important. And you're here right now. You're relaxing. You put your feet up. Get yourself a nice hot chocolate. Get yourself a chocolate bar. Sit back, relax, and listen to me and the old man have a chin wag. How does that sound, eh? Carla, like my Uvula collection. Yes. Except likes. Mum of many, good to see you. Trust me when I tell you, living in a house with him, there was almost never a time someone wasn't on the bathroom. Well, I mean, yeah, there used to be quite a few people in the house at the same time, so I can imagine why. Are the Google moderators real people? No, of course not. I reckon it's some weird, crappy bot that doesn't quite work. I wonder how Mum of Many would feel if she knew that her father flew to the UK during the 80s and impregnated my mother.
She probably wouldn't doubt it. What'd she say? Oh, trust me when I tell you, living in a house with him, there was almost never time someone wasn't in the bathroom. That is a fact. But understand this. There were 3 adults. Well, at one time, 4 adults and 4 children under the age of 11. And 1 tiny bathroom.
It's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. And I guarantee you, anytime I had to go to the bathroom, somebody was in there. I mean, it was so bad that I had to wait until late at night to take my showers, because invariably, if I tried to take them during the day, whenever I get in there, somebody would have to go. Papa, I got to go to the bathroom. And if you know me, you know I don't like to rush my showers. I love to stand there as long as possible with it as hot as possible.
Bloodwing enjoys a Hollywood.
Oh man, it's the one time I'm really at peace with just myself. Leave me the heck alone.
I just want to say fuck you to W.R. Corsten, who's wasn't happy with Drunken Uncles and mine's collaboration with the Queer Kid Stuff video. I would have thought you'd enjoy that, mate. And Dean, tonight, Dean, you're getting arrested. I'm sorry, mate, but you've been thinking about Diane Abbott and sex, and you've just flicked cigarette ash into his JD. Mate, that's at least 3 years custodial sentence. Well, Millie says I'd be okay with having a UK brother, but you do have one. The one I got is an a-hole.
She's talking about J Kid. She's not wrong.
I love J Kid.
Well, of course I love him. He's my only son. You know, and he's, trust me, he is me. Not just an attitude, but to look at. He is me 22 years ago. He looks identical. The only difference is he has blue eyes where I have brown, and he's losing his hair where I'm not. But you know, that comes from the mother's side, so the losing your hair stuff.
J Kid is my brother from another mother.
Yeah,
I love how brutal he can be.
But she is not wrong that he is an a-hole. And he'll tell you flat up that, yes, I'm an a-hole. But yeah, I guess, should we get to the news, Bear?
If you have any, mate.
Yeah, I have some. Let's, the first one I wanted to cover, actually, let's see here if I can. I had. There we go. Merkel defends Iran deal, multilateralism, but Pence resists. And we all know that Merkel is a cow.
She's actually a ventriloquist puppet.
Yeah, I detest Merkel.
I'm not a fan of Merkel.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has robustly defended European powers' decision to stand by the Iran nuclear deal, but U.S. Vice President Mike Pence promptly accused Europe of once again undermining the United States. German Chancellor Angela Merkel drew lengthy applause Saturday for her spirited defense of a multilateral approach to global affairs and support for Europe's decision to stand by a nuclear deal with Iran. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence was not among the impressed, however, and he doubled down on American criticism of Europe. Merkel's comments at the Munich Security Conference, an annual gathering of world leaders and top global defense and foreign policy officials, followed days of acrimony between the U.S. and Europe over Iran. Merkel told the group, which included the largest U.S. delegation ever with dozens of members of Congress, Ivanka Trump, Pence, and others, that she shared American concerns about many Iranian efforts to increase its power in the region. But while she said the split with the U.S. over Iran's nuclear agreement depresses me very much, she defended it as an important channel to Tehran, stressing the need for international diplomacy. I see the ballistic missile program. I see Iran in Yemen. And above all, I see Iran in Syria, she said. The only question that stands between us on this issue is, do we help our common cause, our common aim of containing the damaging or difficult development of Iran by withdrawing from the one remaining agreement, or do we help it more by keeping the small anchor we have in order, maybe to exert pressure in other areas? Am I the only one, or does that sound like a long way to say, well, they won't listen to us unless we play ball?
You don't play ball with Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah, I mean, donation. Hold on. Thank you, Cryptic. Merkel's mouth is a nutcracker. She'll chop your Peter off.
It's not very nice.
I don't doubt what he says is true. Germany, Britain, France, China, Russia, and the European Union have been trying to keep the 2015 deal with Iran alive since U.S. President Donald Trump unilaterally, that's hard to say with false teeth, guys, pulled out of it last year. Yeah. The deal offers Iran sanctions relief for limiting its nuclear programs. The International Atomic Energy Agency has said that so far, Tehran is sticking to the agreement, as far as you know. You know, I'm sorry, but I still haven't forgiven Iran for kidnapping for well over a year American citizens.
I haven't forgiven them for kidnapping Royal Navy sailors and Royal Marines.
I remember that time very well. And every night on the news, no matter what channel you took, there was a running tally of how many days it had been since they were kidnapped. And it went on for well over a year.
They love kidnapping people, don't they?
Yeah. It wasn't until Reagan got in power and they said, oh, cowboy going to nuke us off the face of the earth. We better let him go. You know, pretty much is what happened. But to give Carter his due, he did have some 11th hour input in it. He did get the ball rolling. But anyway, but the U.S. argues that the deal just puts off when Iran might be able to build a nuclear bomb. Exactly. Speaking after Merkel, Pence pushed for Europeans to end their involvement in the nuclear deal, calling Iran the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Absolutely. And these are the people you want to play ball with, Merkel? You know, and all the European, the EU nations? Come on. We
do have a bad habit of funding terrorists, so.
I can't blame him for claiming that they're undercutting the U.S. You know, the time has come for our European partners to stop undermining U.S. sanctions against this murderous revolutionary regime, Pence said. The time has come for our European partners to stand with us and with the Iranian people, our allies and friends in the region. The time has come for our European partners to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. Merkel's speech was warmly received, while Pence's was met with polite applause. Of course, this is mainstream media. Thank you, Shadow Knight. I think that's FX for the subscription. It was gone before I could read it properly. I need to set that where it stays up longer. The time has come for our European partners to stand with us and with the Iranian people, our allies and friends. And the time has come for our European partners to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. Merkel's speech was warmly received, while Pence was met with polite applause. That was a big and say it as it is Merkel speech. Daniela Schwarzer, the director of the German Council on Foreign Relations think tank, wrote on Twitter, minutes of applause and standing ovations for a powerful commitment to picking up the pieces of a shattered world order. What? Did you actually say world order? Oh my God. A shattered world order and working on a European and international order that creates win-win situations. Former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, who was in office when the Iran nuclear deal was negotiated, went out of his way to thank Merkel and defended the Iran deal as a significant agreement. Biden told the group that many Americans did not agree with the Trump administration's America First approach. And it just keeps going on and on with the same thing. Talking about, Merkel and NATO. She's not living up to her deal. She's not paying enough, but trying to make it sound like she is, and all that. I'm done with that. It's just going to make me mad if I read anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Merkel in East Germany before the wall came down?
Not actually entirely sure about that. Let me Google that. Angela Merkel. Oh, she's a creature, isn't she?
Oh, good God.
Ugh, I don't like looking at her. So let's go to early life. Merkel was born Angela Dorothea Kasner in 1954 in Hamburg, West Germany.
In West Germany. Okay. Well, I had it in my mind she was East German.
But family moved to Templin, and Merkel grew up in the countryside 90 kilometers north of East Berlin. Okay. She participated in several compulsory courses on Marxism, Leninism.
So she was in East Germany, at least after she was.
And her grades only being regarded as sufficient. So she wasn't even a good commie. She joined the Free German Youth, the official communist youth movement, sponsored by the ruling Marxist-Leninist Socialist Unity Party of Germany.
Nuts. She says, what the heck's wrong with America first? Doesn't the rest of the countries put themselves there? No, they don't. Nationalism is very frowned upon outside of the U.S. And in fact, I remember seeing, and you probably remember seeing it too, a video of Merkel grabbing a German flag and throwing it off the stage.
Nationalism is very much a dirty word this side of the planet, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's frowned greatly upon. In fact, most Europeans that I interact with, and I've interacted with a lot of them, including Bear, find it very odd that we have an American flag like every other yard here, you know, and it's common. It's a common thing. You know, it's not just my neighborhood. Of course,
whereas having St. George's flag hanging out your window is racist.
Yeah. Of course, in my neighborhood, you're just as likely to see just as many rebel flags as well. But, you know.
Nationalism is very much a dirty word.
Yeah.
You say the word nationalism and people just immediately think Hitler.
And yes, faithless. I call it patriotism. I do. You know, I love my country. I love that I live here. I can't think of another country I'd rather live in than the United States of America, and I'm proud of it. And I don't understand why that's wrong.
Prosper says Britain, France, and Greece are paying their way in NATO. Yeah, we're very big on NATO stuff here in the UK. I even have a NATO medal, would you believe?
Now, because I am an admitted nationalist, you know, I love my country, doesn't mean that I can't see that they have problems. I don't think that the country wouldn't lie to me. Of course they would if they thought they could get away with it. You know, politicians are politicians, and that's true in America and anywhere. But that doesn't say that I can't love my country. You know, this is how bad it is with me, and Bear knows this. Some of you don't know. Of course, this last season, it was very rare to hear the national anthem before a football game, which before last year and all the kneeling fiasco, it was common. Almost every football game, you've seen the national anthem. Anyway, in my house, even my grandkids know when the national anthem plays on TV, everybody goes quiet. We give it respect. Yes, it's just a song, but it's the thought behind the song and what it represents is what we're paying respect to. Yeah.
Yeah, I make sure my boys are silent. Well, obviously we don't watch like football and stuff like that, so we generally don't have to listen to the national anthem that very often. But on Remembrance Day, Remembrance Sunday, there's silence in my house.
I've had a lot of European subscribers question me on different videos that I've done that they don't understand how rampant it is. They don't get that. Oh, for instance, in grade school, they teach you the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, and shoot, even at my granddaughter's T-ball games, the T-ball are for kindergarten age kids. They have the national anthem. They play it over the loudspeakers and everybody faces the flag. It's just the way it is. And so, yeah, we don't understand why the rest of the world isn't like us, but you know, I don't know.
You'd have a different history.
We do, and it's very steeped in nationalism. I mean, the fact that we're a little over 200 years old, but let's be honest, on the grand stage of the world, that's pretty young.
Yeah, you're a young country, and you were built on the idea, fuck monarchy, and obviously pro freedom. You know, so makes sense to me.
And we've had the good fortune that in that 200 plus years, we've went from a bunch of farmers with, you know, bad weaponry and pitchforks to the world power, you know? So, you know, in a very short amount of time. And really that happened just in the last, you know, 75 years or so. We were not a world power prior to World War II.
In fact, you're the only world superpower now.
Yeah, it was us and the USSR, and that divided. So
but now it's just you.
Yeah,
the EU's trying to become a super state. They're trying very hard.
That's the sense I've got out of it, is they want to compete in a sense with the United States to, you know, to give it a counterbalance, if you will.
Yeah. Makes me laugh because the UK is better than Europe. We're only little, 5th biggest economy in the world. Once had one of the most powerful armed forces in the world. We have nukes as well.
Yeah, and your
Navy, we're pretty good compared to the rest of Europe.
Yeah, and your Navy once ruled the seas, and
yeah,
you know,
we need to go back to a time when the Navy was at the size it was during the 70s, when it was fucking huge. But it's not anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know. It is a bad word outside of the United States. That was one of the first things I had to come to grips with when I started doing this kind of content, because I was like, really? Everywhere else isn't like us? They're not proud of their country? They don't fly their flag?
Yeah. Of course they would start, wouldn't they? Woof, 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 woof. Woof, woof. Fucking, do you have any more news?
I do. Let's get back over to it. Let's see. Give me a second. I can't open all these stories and leave them open because it's too taxing on my computer. So I have to. I went through and looked at the headlines, and I knew which ones that I wanted to face, but now I got to scroll back through and find the ones that. So bear with me a little bit here. If you've got one ready, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a few ready.
That'll give me time to find it.
I may need your help with this one.
Okay.
It's very American centric. Former White House advisor continues fueling QAnon conspiracy theory that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead.
Yeah. I honestly, I would not doubt that she's already died, and they just don't want to tell us. You know, it's kind of a Weekend at Bernie's thing.
I think she had some like cancer surgery or something yesterday. Oh, someone in the chat will correct me. She had something, but she's still alive. Was it last month when CNN accidentally aired the news story that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had died? Or was it the month before?
It's been recent. I don't remember exactly when it was.
That's hilarious. Poor Ruth. Just let her retire, man. Oh my God, she's too old. Former White House advisor Sebastian Gorka continued to promote a conspiracy theory that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died as the Supreme Court justice returned to work. She's like, yeah, she's dead. On Friday, NBC News reporter Ben Collins wrote that now that RBG, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, will be out in public soon, the conspiracy that she's secretly dead will only evolve. Too many people, not just QAnon folks, where it started, but also guys like Seb got into this one. Expect lots of weird close-up shots of ears to prove it's an old lady body. It's not an old to prove it's not a double. Bless her.
She's getting up there. she's getting up there. And now you see the issues with a lifetime appointment for our Supreme Court justices. They don't want to admit that she's incapacitated or out of it now, because if they do, then Trump can appoint yet another Supreme Court justice. You don't want that.
Is that why they're secretly hiding the fact that she's dead?
I think so. Yeah, that's my theory.
That's so disrespectful. Like, if they were doing it, which I don't actually believe that they are, but if they were doing it, that would be one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard of. Just let her retire, man. Jesus Christ.
Well, sometimes they do, but there's not always retirement for our Supreme Court justices, because they do have a lifetime appointment.
Oh, well,
no term limits on justices.
Okay, I have another piece of news. If you're ready,
I found mine real quick. Let me read it. And it has to do with the one I just read. No backing down. Russia warns it will do everything to keep U.S. missiles out of Europe.
Who said that?
Putin.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
Let's get that to.
Don't you already have missiles here?
Yeah, there are some.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure you do.
No backing down. Russia warns it will do everything to keep U.S. missiles out of Europe. Russia has said it will do everything possible to stop the U.S. What's
the matter?
It wants to do cookies. And it's popped up in my way of the story. Oh, for pity's sake. I hate that.
You're right there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get out of this so I can finish reading the story. There we go. Russia has said it will do everything possible to stop the U.S. deploying missiles in the Baltic states as the fallout from the collapse of the intermediate range nuclear treaty continues. Earlier this month, U.S. President Donald Trump announced he was pulling out of the 3-decade-old treaty, which aims to keep long and intermediate range missiles out of Europe. The move triggered a 6-month countdown to the treaty being officially torn up and allowing both the United States and Russia to station missiles around the continent at will. Moscow has denied America's accusations that it has already broken the treaty and instead accused Washington of using the diplomatic spat as a pretense for its own ambitions to put missiles in Europe. Moscow has now gone one step further by vowing to stop Donald Trump carrying out any plans to put missiles in Washington's Baltic allies, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Mr. Trump would be free to put missiles in American bases in the NATO member nations who have had strained relations with Russia since the Soviet Union broke up once the treaty is formally dissolved. Come on, scroll. There we go. The three countries constitute a key barrier to President Putin's expansionism in Eastern Europe, but Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rabkov has promised to hold America to the terms of the treaty, even if it is no longer active. Okay. Mr. Rabkov told Russian state news agency TASS, "I will make every possible effort to prevent it," in response to a question on American missiles. The 58-year-old politician added, "I'm sure that everyone who is somehow involved in our foreign policy, defense, and security activities will work as a team to prevent a station that would mean everything that has a cornerstone of European security for decades has perished. Russia is extremely worried about American ballistic missiles, which could reach Moscow in 3 to 4 minutes after being fired from bases in the Baltics." And that's actually, let's see here. Let me scroll through. That's not exactly the article that I had read before. The article that I'd read gave that story, but Putin said that he doesn't think that these nations really want those missiles in there. They're just too scared to stand up to the United States. which doesn't match the facts because countries like Poland and Hungary and different ones have been begging the United States to put bases there. And of course, you know,
they don't want to be put under Russian rule again.
And the article that I'd read previously had Merkel saying that, you know, that she was standing behind Putin on this. So of course she is. So anyway, there's that. What do you got?
I managed to grab some weird news that is a lot less political.
Yeah,
for the stream, if that's all right, mate.
Absolutely, we need that.
So coming from CBC News, stop the pigeon, catch the pigeon. Fed birth control drug at SkyTrain station to reduce the population. Could always just put some of that. Is it baking soda? Put it on some bread and they blow up. The hearts explode or something.
Whatever they do, it's too late. Do you have any idea how many pigeons there are in major cities around the United States? The city I live in is a medium-sized city. It's no New York by any means. But our pigeon population is so big here that they actually imported falcons and had them nest on top of the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. We call them rats with wings for a reason.
Yeah, we do as well, mate. If you go to a lot of British train stations, if you look up, you see in the rafters and especially on the cameras as well, you'll see very, very thin spikes sticking out of them. And that's to prevent filthy pigeons from nesting there.
It's outrageous. I don't think anything they do would touch the pigeon population in the nation for sure. But go ahead.
Pigeons can seem pretty innocuous in the city, but according to TransLink, the birds can cause all kinds of problems. Yeah, like shitting on you along the SkyTrain system. Now, along with the BC SPCA, TransLink is testing a birth control drug on the birds to reduce the population. To start, there's the issue of poop. Yeah, it's horrible being shit on. The pigeon droppings had dogged the transit authority as it prepared to open the new platform on the commercial Broadway station. The problems don't just revolve around the nasty mess. According to TransLink, pigeons can interfere with the transportation system, causing SkyTrain delays where they trigger track intrusion alarms and automatic brakes are activated. TransLink has tried to discourage the birds from roosting in its stations. The spikes installed along the perches, just like us, didn't do it, nor did low voltage strips or netting. According to TransLink, a falconer has been hired, there you go, blood, to make the rounds at pigeon place stations to scare off the birds. Yep. But according to a spokesperson, Jill Drews, what's needed is a long-term solution. Along with BCSPA, TransLink is testing a feeding system that distributes corn laced with a contraceptive called Ovo Control. Fucking flying rats.
Yeah. Evil one. My city's not that big. We have right at 1 million people, but that's a lot more than 2,600. You're right. It's big enough. It takes up the entirety of Marion County. If you're in Marion County, with the exception of Indianapolis is odd. We have 4 towns that are completely surrounded on all sides by Indianapolis. No matter which direction you go to leave town, you hit Indianapolis. Which is weird. Speedway is one of them where the track is at. Yeah, not that big. But yeah, the pigeon populations can be pretty bad. There's a commercial here that they show once in a while. I can't remember what it's for off the hand. I think it's for one of the car insurance companies, and shows a guy pull up in his hot convertible, red convertible, you know, and he looks up and he sees a bunch of pigeons on the, you know, roosted up over where he was going to park, and decides to pull up a little bit. When he gets out, a cement mixer dumps a bunch of cement in his car. Made me think of that.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I have some more news.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more political, though. It's very cheeky as well. Porsche asks UK buyers to commit to 10% no-deal Brexit surcharge. Cheeky sods. Company says move is a precaution in case WTO tariffs apply to EU-UK trade. Hopefully they won't, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Porsche is asking British customers to sign a contract committing them to pay a surcharge of up their vehicle's purchase price if there is a no-deal Brexit. Cars made in Europe could attract tariffs of 10% if imported to the UK under the terms of the World Trade Organization, the default trading relationship if the UK and EU are unable to agree a transition period, which is probably not going to happen. So hopefully it'll go to WTO rules. The car industry is particularly exposed to the risk of a no-deal Brexit because its products attract relatively high tariffs. Companies that manufacture in the UK also face the prospect of disruption to their just-in-time supply chains if there are border delays. Porsche, which is owned by Volkswagen, produces its cars in Germany and Slovakia, but the UK is a key market. I told you they fucking need us more than we need them. It sold 12,500 cars in Britain in 2018 out of global sales of 256,000. Prices for Porsche's most popular model in the UK, the Macan Sports utility vehicle, starts at £46,000, meaning new owners could be liable for an extra 4,600. Well, I mean, you could just apply the 10% tariff onto it and just tell people that's how much the car costs.
It's just their way to try to slap your hands. Bad boys for leaving the EU. Bad boys.
Yeah, pretty much. I told you the EU, especially companies in the EU, they need the UK more than we need them because we buy more from the UK, from Europe than what we sell to them.
Yep.
The article won't have the details on the profit margin on these vehicles. Faithless, it might be worth a quick Google search to see how much they would cost.
Going back to the previous story, Aethertosis, won't the drug get into the ecosystem and completely screw up other animals as well? I suppose that's possible. That's one thing to think about.
I fucking hate Skoda. Shut up, festering wound. You dick. I have another one.
Okay.
It's just a little thing. Move over, Pizza Rat. There's a new king of New York City. Introducing Henny Rat, basically a picture of a rat that was found passed out on the street with a bottle of Hennessy laying on top of it.
I seen that picture.
I just share screen so people can see. I just saw it and thought it was funny.
I seen it on Twitter. Yeah, typical day in New York City.
I just saw it. It made me giggle a little bit. Thought I'd just grab that for the stream. Little drunk rat. I guess. I do have more stuff.
The only difference between New York, that's New York, but here you'd have the rat laying there with the bottle of whiskey, but you'd have some redneck laying there with his arm around the rat.
Yeah. I have another one. I have another news article for you.
Go ahead. You knock yourself out.
Oh, I will, Bloodwing, I will. The man who liked the DMV too much. Does anybody like the DMV in America?
No. Most of us would rather go have teeth pulled than go to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah.
No.
Employees say stalker wouldn't stop buying pizzas. They even arrested the guy. Every institution has its fans. Really? Because like everything that I've been told about the DMV, from Bloodwing, from every American I've ever spoken to popular culture, like movies,
it
represents the DMV as just an awful, awful place.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Slow, and I mean, Zootopia presented it as a place that's literally full of sloths.
Yeah, guarantee you walk in, and the first thing you got to do is take your number, to see what number you are when you get served. And it'll be like number 97. Then you'll look up at the sign that says now serving 23.
Yeah.
Like, oh, crap. I'm going to be here for a couple hours.
Yeah. Take a fully charged phone when you go, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Every institution has its fans, even your local Department of Motor Vehicles. In all seriousness, though, a man was arrested for allegedly stalking DMV employees in Lincoln County, Missouri. Deputies claim a series of creeptacular and frightening actions by Timothy Howe 34. I guess they might have had a couple of sexy bitches working in there. I don't know. Detectives began investigating.
At the DMV? That would be rare.
But I'm led to believe that the DMV is just full of really, really fat people.
I think that there's a rule. I think there's probably a clause on their application for employment that says you must be either old or fat and ugly. But, yeah, I'm not sure.
Detectives began investigating on February 6th, according to news release. Problems started last year because of pizza. Of all things, employees at the DMV in the city of Troy claimed the suspect anonymously bought pizza for them, drove through the parking lot at all times of the day, and reached out to them on social media using an assumed name. One of them, a woman, asked him to stop buying her the pizzas. So, in the words of deputies, he bought them for everyone in the office except for her. Okay. So she just mad she didn't get a slice? Most people go out of their way to avoid the DMV unless absolutely necessary. Not how though. According to deputies, employees said he was a regular, fucking regular, asking for abandoned vehicle forms and other documents. Issues came to a head when in November of last year, he allegedly left a lot of money for a DMV employee and told her to get a manicure or pedicure. Okay. The State Complaint Investigation Bureau told him he was persona non grata from then on at the Troy license office. Problems allegedly continued. Howe is also accused of getting his hands on a woman's cell phone number. Deputies described the text as odd, and one of these was a Merry Christmas message. The woman also said he drove past her twice while she was filling up her car at the gas station. Howe is now charged with first-degree stalking and 3 counts of first-degree harassment. Deputy said, let me say like 1 sentence left, mate. Deputy said he locked up, deputy said he locked up at the Lincoln County Jail on a $20,000 cash-only bond. It's unclear if he has an attorney in this matter.
There was an explanation in that why he has a different opinion of them, and it was probably missed by most. But it says he's, looking for abandoned vehicle stuff and all that. He evidently probably runs a small car lot, it sounds like. And if you run a car lot, you are in there constantly. And to the point that most DMVs will have a special counter only for dealers. And yeah, you can get in and out of there quick.
Must be nice.
If you're one of those. I've seen a few people in the chat saying they don't have a problem with the DMV anymore. And here we call it the BMV. It's the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, but same thing. It's better now where I live because they built more offices. So they're not nearly as crowded as they used to be. Depends on what time of the month you hit it.
Yeah.
But it's so bad that they even put automated vending machines outside that you can get if all you want is the tag for your license plate, to renew it for that year. You can buy that out of a vending machine outside the door just to keep people out.
We have something similar, the Department of like Motor Vehicles or whatever. I think that's called that. But almost everything they do is either done by post or online now.
Yeah, they've tried to move to more online stuff, but there's just some things you cannot do online. If you've got an issue with your title, or if you were dumb and forgot, like I always do, that your license just expired. If it's expired, you can't do it you've got to go in person. And I do not like going there whatsoever. And it's funny, you go in there and sit, and there's hundreds of people, and nobody looks at each other. It's almost like being in the men's bathroom. You know how it is in the men's bathroom.
Yeah, we're
not like women. We don't talk when we're in there. Don't talk to me. This is not the place to talk.
There's only ever one time that anybody will talk to you in a man's bathroom, and that's if you go into like a nightclub bathroom on a Friday or Saturday night, and there's a lucky man in there, and he's the only man allowed to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Nobody else. You go in, you do your thing, you leave. No eye contact. You especially don't touch each other.
Well, I will say this. If I had a stalker, I'd want it to be one that bought me pizza.
Yeah, it's not in terms of stalkers.
Yeah.
He's not. It's a pretty nice one. I mean, gave them pizza. Lucky. Yeah, random American. Lucky men. They're usually African guys who have like they're hired to go in there and they set up their own little stall, if you like, on next to the sinks where they have all different types of colognes and deodorants. They have like some lollipops as well, sometimes chewing gum. They have like a little dish where you can make a tip.
They sell lollipops and chewing gum in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that kind of sounds gross?
Well, they're wrapped, aren't they? They have.
I understand that, but no.
Yeah, they'll give you a spray with some deodorant. They'll spray you with some cologne if you ask them. They'll give you a lollipop or a chewing gum or whatever, and you just give them a quid.
Here in the States, unless it's some highbrow place.
Oh yeah, they'll dry your hands for you as well. That they've basically stolen the hand towels to do.
You got to go into a really highbrow, restaurant kind of thing for that. Here,
yeah, but those guys actually wear suits, tuxedos. I'm talking about your average like nightclub or pub in England.
We don't have that here. Here, you go in, you don't talk to each other. If possible, you put at least one urinal between you and the next guy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. You just don't talk, and you sure don't look to one side or the other, because then you're afraid they think you're trying to look at their junk.
Yeah, it's you don't do that. You don't look at each other.
There was a local story here that they talked about on Bob and Tom Radio the other morning. I don't have the article up, but I'll just tell you it. I guess somebody at an auto or at a home improvement center. It wasn't Lowe's, but it was one of those like Lowe's or something, big home improvement center. He made the comment that I'm getting ready to go to the bathroom and about to blow it up. Y'all better get out of here.
Yeah.
Of course, what he was making a joke as to he's about really to dump a load, and it was going to be smelly. But somebody took it serious.
You know what happened again?
And reported it to the bomb squad.
You know what happened again recently? It happened somewhere else as well recently. I covered it on Ghost Poo last night. Yeah, it was a completely different area, different guy. Did pretty much the same thing, and the police were called.
W.R. Croston, does anyone else get annoyed by the guy who chooses the middle urinal? Yes, absolutely.
You go for the furthest one away possible.
And I won't pick the one in between two guys unless I absolutely have no choice. If I'm about to pee on myself and there's nowhere else to go, then I'll.
If there's one urinal and it's between a bunch of guys, I will always go for the cubicle.
Yeah.
It's not happening, mate.
I'm not a fan of public restrooms anyway. I will avoid them at all costs, especially if I have to take a dump, because I have not mastered the trick of being quiet. If I got to poo, and it's going to make noise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you come out of there looking all embarrassed because they all heard it because they're all smirking.
Also, like you must have been on a night out or whatever, Bloodwing, once upon a time, and suddenly needed to go for a poo on a night out, and that's the worst kind of poo, because you usually, like 9 times out of 10, you go for a night out, you don't go dookie.
Yeah, Prospero, right? Home Depot. Thank you. That's where it was. It was a Home Depot. Yeah.
And then sometimes you do have to go for a dookie, and then you have to use the nightclub toilet to go dookie, and there's either A, no toilet seat,
Yeah.
Or B, there is a toilet seat, but it's broken. Or C, there is a toilet seat and it's been pissed on. Or D, all of the above, right?
Or
And
E, it's clogged.
oh yeah, or it's clogged. Yeah, you have to stand there. You have to size it up first, you know. And you're looking at the floor. You're standing in piss as you do it. And you're like, right, I've got to figure this out. You got to clean the toilet, and then risk sitting down on it. And you would be better off shitting in a urinal, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but if you go into your guy and you go into you stare straight ahead. That way you get to look at all the boogers and stuff that people have wiped on the wall.
I enjoy the vandalism on the walls inside the cubicle.
Yeah.
There's always some interesting art or some kind of sort of weird puzzle somebody's drawn.
Absolutely.
I do like that. But we have some more news.
All right, let's get it.
Bloke thrown in the sorry, excuse me, I'm very windy today. Bloke, this is very British, isn't it? Oh, excuse me. Bloke thrown in the cooler for 8 years after 3D printing gun to dodge weapon ban.
I've seen this story. I didn't pick it to read, but I did see it. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's not an old story, is it?
No. A couple days at most.
Okay. I didn't buy a gun. I built the gun. Control C, Control V, Control P lands Texas man in the slammer.
I controlled Vita's gun.
Well, it's Texas though.
Well,
that's all right. Is that because like he didn't just go buy one, or
maybe he couldn't go buy one?
Is it because he was creating one that wasn't on like a system?
The article I seen claimed it was an AR-15, but you know, mainstream media says they're all AR-15s to them.
A 3D printer?
Yeah.
I suppose if you could assemble the parts and put it together yourself, and yeah.
Oh yeah, plastic guns have been a thing for eons. I mean, that's how terrorists will try to beat the metal detectors.
Yeah. All right, Faithless, calm down with your mid-sentence, all caps words. Actually, Joys of Sorrow is a big gun fanatic. He might be able to tell us. A Texas fella who wrote this article. A Texas fella banned from owning firearms. But surely an AR-15 has gas parts, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like you can't print gas parts, right?
Yeah.
A Texas fella banned from owning firearms is now behind bars for trying to 3D print a gun for himself. Uncle Sam's prosecutors, who wrote this article? Oh my God. Uncle Sam's prosecutors announced this week that a federal district court in the Lone Star State sent 42-year-old Eric McGinnis down for 8 years. Oh my God, this article is disgusting.
And that explains your question, Vortex. Yes, he was banned from having a gun to begin with. Plus, somebody mentioned, and you'll probably get to that, he had a list of politicians he wanted to kill. But yeah, go ahead.
This article is disgustingly British. It's like it was written by a Cockney, and it's annoying me. That he got sent down for 8 years for possessing an unregistered short barrel rifle and possessing ammunition while subject to an active protective order. Oh, okay. His trial by jury took just 2 days. So he was under an active protective order, which I'm not sure what that is, Bloodwing.
What, a protective order?
An active protective order.
They will often be handed out in the cases of assault or domestic abuse. You're not allowed to get within so many yards, like 100 yards of the other individual.
So if you get one of them, you basically aren't allowed to own a gun.
Depending on the state.
Right. Okay. Back in 2015, McGinnis was served with the order after having a violent altercation with his girlfriend. Part of that order barred McGinnis from owning a firearm or ammunition for a period of 2 years. There you go. We got our answer. The next year, McGinnis attempted for a semi-automatic rifle, but was turned down following a background check and was visited by the Bureau ATF, with a reminder of the order. Undeterred, McGuinness then purchased a 3D printer and obtained blueprints for the parts he was unable to legally purchase. Using the 3D printed parts and other pieces he already had, the man was able to... Oh, so he already had parts for an AR-15, but cobbled... Well, it wasn't an AR-15, it was an AR-15 style rifle. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean it was an AR-15. I didn't buy a gun. I built the gun.
See you, Prospero.
See that, Prospero? Have a good one. I didn't buy a gun. I built the gun, he said in a recorded phone call while in custody. The upper, I printed the lower and I built it, installed the trigger and did all that stuff. I built it. In 2017, with just 1 month left on his protective order, McGuinness went out into a wooded area near Dallas and fired the weapon. Police nearby heard the shots and arrested McGuinness, who was said to have tried to get out of trouble by claiming he was working for the CIA.
You got to give it to him for trying.
Bullshit artist.
Yes, Duck Dog. It's also called a restraining order. That's what we call it here in our state, is a restraining order.
During the search of McGuinness' backpack, the arresting officers found not only the rifle with the printed pieces, but also a list titled 9/11/2001 List of American Terrorists. Holy shit. With the names and addresses of several US legislators. Oh, yeah, it's probably a good thing they took that gun off him. When he realized he couldn't legally purchase a firearm, Eric McGuinness circumvented our gun laws by 3D printing his weapon, eliminating the need for a background check. This case should send a message to prohibited persons contemplating acquiring guns by any method. This office is committed to keeping guns out of the hands of those who violate protective orders for domestic violence, no matter how the guns are obtained by theft, purchase, or 3D printing.
Aether Toast says he had a month left and he still did that. If that's true, if he only had a month left to wait, then he's a bigger idiot than I already think he is.
Yeah, he should have just waited. The guy's a dumbass. What a douche nozzle.
Well, Bear, entertain the chat for a minute. I told you I'd have to go again because I went so early.
Hey.
So if anybody guessed however long it's been, you win.
What's that? An hour and 40 minutes. Two tinkles. God, he's getting old, isn't he? Let's have a look. 60. We have 78 people watching right now. 69 likes. Guys, I think we can get a few more in there. Just a few more cheeky likes for the old man. I'm sure he'd really appreciate it. But what's everybody up to this weekend, guys? Bear, can you remember the Royal Marine who nearly got sent to prison for killing a terrorist? Yeah. Is that the one who shot the Taliban guy? Something similar is happening to a soldier because he stabbed a terrorist in the neck. He was there to help. Was that... Are you referring to the guy who... stood over, they shot a Taliban guy and then they stood over him and said, "Shake off this moral coil, you cunt," and then shot him again? Is that who you're referring to, by any chance? Sitting around being in pain. Sounds wonderful, random American. I mean, it's a bit embarrassing for me, but it was funny as hell. Yeah, Marine A, yeah. I do remember that. I do remember that. Is that still going on, or is that done now? There's different barrel lengths, socks, pistol grips, and other parts of the AR-15, but essentially as long as they use the same lower, it's practically an AR-15. Okay. Marine A, he was in prison for years. See, that's the thing, but I've lost track of time. I remember it, but I can't remember when it was. I couldn't remember when it was. No, he was released. Okay. How long did he do? Could have been that long then, because surely it was only a few years ago, that case. I remember there being a lot of support for him. A lot of support for him after that. I tempted to... I tempted... You mean I'm tempted to send you a video clip there? I mean, it's a bit embarrassing for me, but it was funny as hell. Well, what is it? About 2 years ago? Okay. So I remember it, man, but I've lost so much track of time.
And I'm back.
With Jen, if you want to send it to me, feel free to do so. Welcome back, mate. See you later, Shady Grin.
See you, Shady.
Because I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady. I have one more.
You have one more. Well, that'll be just about perfect and probably take us to story time.
Oh, I'm looking forward to story time. I'm looking forward to story time. Okay, final bit of news. That falls. It does fall under the weird news bracket, but this doesn't surprise me. Calls to ban the Saudi wife tracking app could be counterproductive. Why am I not surprised that the Saudis have a wife tracking app? Is that so they don't have to like escort the women around anymore?
I
Like,
guess.
we can't be asked doing it, so we'll just create an app and track them that way.
I know there's no way I'm going with my wife everywhere she goes.
Oh, I'm being told. Just check my Streamlabs now. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your first name. Terai Deos? I get that right? Right, come on, Streamlabs, hurry up. What do you mean no recent events? Terai for the $5. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, mate. Showing a little love to one of my favorite British personalities. Good luck on that horrible YouTube block thingy that might be happening in the future. Are you referring to Article 13 by any chance? Chip your wife and your dog. Welcome to the kingdom. Yeah, I know, right? Oh God. That's one hell of a headline. While Absha is awful, having it removed will further restrict women. Let's not let politicians off the hook for their complicity in how Saudi women are treated. I assume that's the name of the app. Hold on, I'm just going to Google this.
What was it?
Absha.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Google joined Apple in probing Saudi app that lets men control where their women travel. Good Lord. There's an app for everything. Yeah, you're right, Demon Man. I could do with one of them. Calls to ban the Saudi Arabian wife tracking app miss the point. Want to control where and when your wife can travel? There's an app for that. Over the past week, Apple and Google have been criticized for carrying a Saudi government app called Absha that lets men restrict the restrict the movements of women under their guardianship. Men can choose to get text alerts. Oh my God. When their wife or a female.
Another male.
Sorry?
Warning. Warning, your wife is now within 50 feet of another male.
Oh, warning, warning, your wife's about to use your credit card.
Yeah. Well, that would be over here. Yeah.
Men can choose to get text alerts. That still makes me laugh. When their wife or a female relative goes through an airport and can revoke the woman's right to travel with a few easy clicks. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's insane. Apple and Google have both said they will look into whether the app violates their policies and should be pulled from their app stores. Marine A was released in 2017 after 4 years in prison. Oh, okay, cheers, Owen. I appreciate that, mate. That's mad. Of course, Absha isn't the real problem here. The problem is Saudi Arabia's abhorrent male guardianship system, under which women are treated as minors and need permission from a man to do everything from renting an apartment to accessing healthcare. However, digital tools like Absha make it easier for men to apply these repressive laws. Wow, man, imagine if you had to give like your wife permission to do everything. It'd be so annoying.
There's no way. My wife would say, I ain't asking you permission. Kiss my big butt. Jen, warning, warning, your wife is running away with your goat.
Oh my God. That's mad. On Monday, Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon wrote a letter to Apple and Google stating that American companies shouldn't enable or facilitate the Saudi government's patriarchy. You are making it easier for Saudi men to control their family members from the convenience of their smartphones and restrict their movements. See, now, if the feminists were like, now that's a patriarchy, I'd be like, yeah, it is, yeah.
Sure, the patriarchy exists, just not in the West.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia definitely has one. Women genuinely have real concerns over there.
Yeah, yeah. I've always said if they really care about women's rights, then go over there and fight for them, and then stand back and watch how many of them jump. I can tell you how many will jump at it. 0.
Yeah. Oh, I do kind of like the idea of being able to track Vanilla Bear. Not that she goes anywhere, of course.
The only reason I'd want it is so I can know when she's on the way home, so I can jump in the bed and pretend to be taking a nap. So
yeah. I like the idea of being able to restrict her right to travel. It's like, oh, my husband paid for me to go on holiday. Access denied. What?
that ain't what Vanilla Bear's pretty. Yeah,
yeah, I'd get my ass kicked. I'd have something hard and metal thrown at me.
I know it wouldn't fly with my wife.
Yeah, I'd get my ass kicked as well, man.
What to do.
But, oh well, there's that story, mate, and I believe it's now story time.
Yeah, and I will call today's story "Good Kitty" or "Nice Kitty." And I think this is a story I may have told you before. And folks, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to forget what stories I've already told. So if I retell one, somebody please tell me.
I'll tell you
before I get too far. But I know I haven't told this story on this channel. I have told it on other streams before. Now, the other day, you might recall that Monkey was here, and myself, and Bear, and he had discussions about camping. And neither one of them really liked camping. I love camping, and I would still go camping now if my body would take it. And when I say camping, I don't mean pull your RV with color TV and cable and working showers no, I went in a tent and all that. The only comforts I had was we did have an air mattress because I didn't like sleeping on the ground. Yeah, Mama May says, "Good kitty indeed." I think she knows what story I'm about to tell. She was there. But as I mentioned before, we used to have church-wide campouts on our property on the weekend closest to the 4th of July. And often I would take the next week following off from work for vacation and would just stay there and, on vacation. And so the weekend was over. We were the only ones there, my family and I. And that year we were staying in a camper that Mom and Dad had out back of their cabin, but it didn't have all the amenities. It just had beds and a table in it and stuff. It was one of those old, if you've ever seen those old, it wasn't quite the streamlined silver ones from like out of the 40s, but it was like the next generation of that. So just a pull behind your truck kind of camper. Anyway, I love to just sit up until all hours of the night and stare into the roaring fire. There's just something mesmerizing and relaxing about it. I love to just sit there, poke at the fire and stare into it, just get lost in my own thoughts. And everybody, my wife and kids had all already went to bed. They're in the camper sleeping. And I'm just staring at the fire. It's about 2:00 in the morning, which wouldn't have been unusual for me. I'm just staring in the fire. When you're young and you work a lot of hours and you got a growing family, you don't get a lot of time to yourself. So, I enjoyed it and just sitting there. And we had been having trouble with raccoons getting into our trash. Even we'd even tie them up in the trees, and somehow they were getting them out of the trees. And I'm sitting there and I look over there's an outhouse about an outside toilet about I don't know, 50 feet from where I was sitting.
Yeah.
A little piece off. And it like 2:00 in the morning. So it was really dark. I mean, I'm in the middle of the woods. There's no streetlights, guys. The only light is my bonfire. And I look over and I see these glowing eyes, which I knew was an animal, and just a dark shape moving through the darkness. And I thought, dadgummit, it's another one of them raccoons. I'm going to go scare him off because I'm tired of their tearing my trash up. So I grabbed a flashlight and I took off at a slow jog. And it had since went behind where the outhouse was. And I rounded the corner behind the outhouse, flipped on the flashlight and said, aha, and immediately froze and almost crapped myself.
I've heard this one before. I've just
Standing
realized.
there in the light of my now shaking flashlight is a full-grown mountain lion, or what we call or what some call a cougar, or a puma, or whatever you call it. Yes, my dad didn't believe that I saw it. He actually went and asked the rangers and said, oh yeah, we've been getting them here because there was an overabundance of deer that year and they were following the food.
Yeah.
We normally don't get mountain lions here in Indiana, but I was standing close enough to reach out and grab its wagging tail.
And it was looking at you.
It stopped cold and looked over its shoulder back at me. I froze. I didn't know whether the fish or cut bait. I don't know what to do. I'm through my mind, I'm going, do I try for the camper? Oh, heck no, this thing will have me down and dead before it, because mountain lion generally has no trouble taking down a single adult human being. They're nothing to be trifled with. Well, maybe I can make it into the outhouse. No, because I'll have to flip. We keep this. There was like a little piece of wood that swiveled that we would keep the door shut with because the wind would blow it open.
Yeah.
What do I do? Oh God, I'm dead meat. Please don't eat me. And it just stood there looking at me over its shoulder. This little tail flicking once in a while. I didn't know if that was a good thing or not. I figured it was sizing me up for a meal. Fortunately, it decided that it didn't want anything more to do with me than I did it. And after what seemed like eternity, but was probably just a few seconds.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It turned and sauntered off in no hurry. It just walked off just as slow as you please and walked away.
Yeah,
I'm
lucky
still
man.
standing there, froze, afraid to move. And as soon as it was far enough away that I thought I was safe, I bolted for that camper as fast as I could bolt. I get in the door, and the door on the camper shut really hard, so you had to slam it, which woke my wife. And I'm breathing heavy. She's like, "What's the matter with you?" And I'm like, "Oh." She goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Never mind. Go sleep. Just go back to sleep." Just after I laid down, there was a metal ball bat out just outside the camper, leaned against a tree, that one of the raccoons probably did knock over, but it fell over. And you know what kind of racket an aluminum ball bat would make when it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a picture of it, Bear. That's exactly what I saw.
Was it that one?
They're about the size of a German Shepherd and all claws and teeth. And they can most definitely put the hurt on you.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So
this ball bat falls over, and my wife goes, "What's that?" I said, "It's nothing." She goes, "Aren't you going to go check it?" I said, "No, now go back to sleep."
You're a lucky man, Bloodwing.
So that's my nice kitty story. Thankfully, I never saw another one. Yeah, my dad didn't believe me. He was like, "No, you saw a coyote or a wild dog or something." I said, "Dad, I know the difference between a cat and a dog, especially one that big." And so he went and asked the nearest rangers. There was a ranger station not too far from where our cabin was, and said, "Oh yeah, they've been coming down here. had it. In fact, that year we had so many deer that they removed the need to have deer tag. They just had open season on deer. Usually during deer season, you have to purchase so many tags, one tag per deer that you kill. So you're only allowed so many. There was such an overpopulation that that year they removed that, just open season, just many as you want. And the mountain lions had moved down to follow the deer population because they were eating up the farmers' crops.
I'm just looking at a story of a guy who survived an attack. Left the guy with 28 stitches. He managed to get away by suffocating the cat. And the guy's not big either. He's 5'10", 150 pounds. I'm just reading through it now.
My daughter, Mama Manny, says she was just telling that story today, as a matter of fact, when she was working on fundraiser stuff with the kids. Yeah.
He tried to scare it off by screaming at it. It didn't work.
Normally that will work because they don't know what to do. I've seen videos of it happening, and they'll back off because they're not really sure. Because another human being's as big as it is, they're not sure of themselves. Can I take this or not? But
this guy's really lucky. Should I read this story real quick?
Sure.
So this guy was like on a hiking trail. Realized that actually he was being followed by a mountain lion. Yep. He said the encounter began when Kaufman was running on a trail in Colorado, and he heard a rustling behind him. One of my worst fears was confirmed, he said, as he turned to see the mountain lion 10 feet, brackets 3 meters away. He said he felt his heart sank as he processed the situation, raised his hands, and began screaming to try and scare the animal as it rushed towards him. Unfortunately, it kept running, and then it eventually just lunged at me, and it jaw locked into my hand and wrist. Lucky it went your throat, mate. Kaufman said that as he and the mountain lion were locked in battle, they tumbled down a trail, and he managed to get the upper hand as the cat ended up on its back. Kaufman grabbed a rock with his free hand and beat the cat on the back of its head. He also tried stabbing it with twigs, but nothing worked. He said, I knew with 2 pretty good blows to the back of the head and it didn't release that I was probably going to have to do something a little more drastic, he said. I was able to kind of shift my weight and get a foot on its neck. Oh, wow. He said he was able to pin the animal's hind legs and his feet and hit it with a rock over the head before stomping on its neck and suffocating it. Yeah. Bleeding from his face and wrist, he jogged back down the hill where he met other runners who got him to a hospital.
Yeah, it's lucky, not just the teeth he had to worry about.
You got them claws as well.
They got claws, and they will gut you.
Mm-hmm.
And Faithless is right. They do prefer to ambush their prey. I've seen videos and I've heard stories of hikers being faced with them and yelling at them, scaring them off. But what ends up happening is then the animal will track them off the trail where you can't see them, but it can see you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they do prefer to ambush. They're yeah.
Now, you were lucky to walk away without a scratch.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally close enough to reach out and grab its tail.
If you'd done that, I think it would have got really mad.
Yeah, it might not have liked that. But I thought for sure it was another one of them raccoons, which are no joke either. Let me tell you, folks, a full-grown raccoon can kill a dog. That's why coon hunters hunt with a pack of dogs. It will kill a grown dog. A full-grown raccoon is nothing to sneeze at. You reach out. My wife seen some on our porch one time. Said, "Oh, they're so cute. I just want to pet them." I said, "Yeah, reach out there and pet them and draw back a bloody stump. Go ahead." They do look cute and whatever, but yeah. But I'm more apt to take on a coon because the coons will usually run unless they're cornered. I was just going to put a boot up its butt and get it out of here. When I rounded that outhouse and said, "Aha!" I was like, "Oh crap, I'm dead."
Well, I told you that I got ambushed by a seal in South Georgia.
No.
I was wandering past its nesting ground during their summer, which is obviously still fucking freezing. There's still icebergs floating around and shit. And they're big fat things, but they move quite quickly. I was walking with my friend. I was walking back to get the seaboat back to the ship, and I walk past this really like long grassy area. Next thing you know, this fucking fat seal comes charging out, roar, roar, at me, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, what are you gonna do, fatty?
Of course, the chat is now. Yeah. Oh yeah, they got big teeth.
Yeah, big sharp teeth. And I was like, right. And then I remembered, because we were given a little bit of training just in case this exact thing happened. You have to clap at them. You have to just go at them, and they shit themselves. It fucked off. It worked.
Yeah. Of course, the chat is now calling me racist because I used the word coon.
Yeah, I knew they were going to do that the second I heard you say it.
That's not the kind of coon I meant. Thank you. Fun fact, Owen Harmon, fun fact, people in India have reduced tiger attacks by wearing masks on the back of their heads. They won't attack if they don't think it's an ambush. Interesting. It's interesting.
One more thing as well. That same day, I went to go see Ernest Shackleton's grave.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to it and to get back, I had to run the elephant seal gauntlet, because there were just rows of them between me and the grave, and a lot of poo. I mean a lot of poo. Oh, good grief! And me and my friend were like, right, 3, 2, 1, and we legged it. We were jumping over like huge clumps of crap, trying to avoid these things because they're quite quick as well for big giant fat bastards as well.
Oh,
but we made it. We made it there and back.
The poo reminds me real quick of when I was about 10. My family and I visited some people we knew, and we knew several people at the time that lived in Oklahoma, and went out there. And I was visiting one of them that had a dairy farm, a pretty large dairy farm. And I remember going out and watching them milk the cows. They had the automated milking machines and all that stuff, you know. And I said, yeah, that was pretty cool, but gosh, it's awful muddy out here. I was wearing Chucks, you know, Converse.
Yeah.
Big at the time, you know, which has got those little eye holes where your foot can breathe, you know, out of them. And I'm like, the mud's got all squished into my tennis shoes, and it's just the mud's almost ankle deep out here. And the fellow looked at me and just as straight face as he could says, "That's not mud." There was so much cow crap, it just formed a level layer on the ground for as far as you could see.
Yeah.
It was, now I know why he wore rubber boots. All right, guys. Well, we are at the end of it. Boy, that went by fast.
It did.
My gosh. Thank you all for coming out as always. Sorry, I got something on Twitter I was trying to look at real quick. Thank you for coming out as always. Thank you for the donations. Thanks for the likes and the views. My gosh, I could have never imagined it would be even this popular. But we're going to get out of here. I will see you on Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, Bear, for coming.
No problem,
anything
mate.
You want to shill?
Yeah, new Lord Bear video, which I'll just get you the link to chuck in the chat. Make sure you guys could give that a watch. And I also released a collaboration video with me, a drunken uncle, on the main channel, I Rate Bear. We covered queer kid stuff. So there's a link to the new Lord Bear video if you haven't watched it already. And enjoy your weekend, guys.
Brave man. I can't do anything on her content without getting a major brain hemorrhage. Anyway, again, thank you guys. And as always, get out of my yard.
You coons.